as it is enhancing the story as always. I feel like I'm reading two different perspectives from each chapter due to the cover story. So even though this week featured Fat Crocodile, I'm here for it. It seems that Dufeld might be a benefactor or sponsor of Mads in the past, or is trying to capitalize on that group and their resources. Dufeld, regardless of what his weight is, he's an emperor of the underworld, but still, he's a loan shark who's very greedy. And so whatever he has planned, it's all about benefiting himself and his pockets. Working with Mads right now has its benefits, as they probably need resources, but they could also have...
You know what's crazy? Like, when it comes to those cover stories, I'm so bad at trying to follow what the fuck's going on. I really usually just skip them. I don't know what the fuck's going on with those cover stories. So him even talking about that, I'm like, huh? I need to like pay more attention to those kind of shits.
Access to weapons that most probably cannot. He may try to facilitate a deal which involves weapons and residuals on the back end. This appearance by Dufeld could be very important, so we should keep our eyes on it. But in the meantime, we should keep our eyes on that subscribe button. Look down, you watched a few videos, make sure you are subscribed, and if you are, you drop a like.
I didn't see that.
Let's get to the chapter because it was a very, very good one. Rob Lucci takes out Atlas, which leads to Luffy being upset, and we know how Luffy can be in these situations, mostly because of how people made him feel when they feed him. These people made him feel good, so it makes sense. I was a bit surprised at how quickly it escalated, but the pace of Egghead has been so superb, so no qualms here. I missed Rob Lucci's cheekiness, and it was welcomed, as Luffy's wondering what Rob Lucci is doing on a government island. It kind of reminded me of Punk Hazard with him and Smoker, where he's asking Smoker what he was doing there. But that's another thing about this arc, right? It's a very good buffet of arcs mixed together. It felt like Punk Hazard for a while, and now it's starting to feel like Sabaody. But Kaku being the voice of reason here is perfect for me, as he's one of my favorite CP9 agents. If not my favorite, but Rob Lucci was not hearing it. Plus, Kaku can't beat Rob Lucci, so he's left to kind of just asking him to stand down. And the best part of this chapter is Oda telling the audience that Luffy's a Yonko, but now in a different way. We're definitely used to people saying, oh my god, Luffy's a Yonko. How did he become a Yonko? But this time it's a bit different. Wanna know how? Oda in this chapter is breaking down the politics of these characters interacting. Luffy's a full-fledged Yonko of...
That was pretty cool about this chapter too, because it's not like just attack him now. Before it was like, yo, get the Straw Hats. Now it's like, we understand the influence Luffy has around the world. It's not just a matter of attack and get it done. It's like, yo, should we attack? What are the repercussions of us attacking? And I thought that was pretty cool too.
The seas. I know the Throne Wars have somewhat changed the perspective of the series, or even the abolishment of the Shichibukai system, but the balance is still very important to the Marines. They are tasked with preserving this peace, and this balance, and the Yonko, they're a huge part of that. Until they can overcome all of these strong entities, they must play nice. For the most part. We saw with Whitebeard how they took the opportunity for an all-out war and what was at risk. With just the comments and the politics of the One Piece world in this chapter, it makes me look at Marineford differently. The chance and risk that the Marines took to oppose Whitebeard was no small feat. They knew they'd risk losing valuable assets and disrupting the balance, but the world government in general can be pretty dumb, if not outright ridiculous, so sometimes I do question their decisions, but the politics of One Piece has always been peak. That entire scenario was set up for another round of Lucci versus Luffy, and honestly I couldn't be more satisfied with the outcome. I know this turned into a war of ideals and favorite characters in the comment section, as most assumed I guess Luffy would low diff or one-shot Rob Lucci, which is fair, because Luffy has grown in numerous ways and is multiple times stronger. But we can't forget other characters can grow as well. No one is saying Rob Lucci can defeat Luffy, but showing growth on both sides was almost demanded. Kizaru being on Egghead or being on the way to Egghead is no longer just in theory. We speculated that.
Yeah, Kizaru's on his way, boy, my twin.
Months ago on the channel, back when the photon gloves were introduced, as did everyone else, but we said it too. It's a perfect marriage, as we may finally see Kizaru actually trying, as Luffy isn't.
Yeah, that's one thing I hate about him is like he's strong as shit, and he's in my favorite arc, Sabaody. And, you know, it was an introduction to him and shit like that. But I want to see him, like, really trying to fight. And I'd like to see what he can get done, you know?
An opponent that you would need to try against. Also a slight showcase for other characters, preferably Frankie, to show.
And he also hangs in the balance. Like, Kizaru and Akainu were, like, on opposite spectrums. Where does Kizaru? His loyalty, we think his loyalty lays with, Akainu and the Marines, but I feel like he can surprise us. He is the light after all. You know what I'm saying? I feel like him having the light fruit, I don't know if it's the light fruit, I forget what it's called, but him having that, I think, and Blackbeard having a dark fruit. I feel like, especially what we know of devil fruits and how, you know, dreams create them. This too, like, freedom is too. How do I say this? It's too related to, like, the light at the end of the tunnel, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this light has to play a role in good. You know what I'm saying? I can't help but think that light could be bad, especially in this world of One Piece. Like, that has to represent something.
Show his stuff. That's my bet from one of the other characters or Straw Hats not named Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, or Jinbei to get a hit in on Kizaru. Kizaru leaving before telling Akainu is giving big "I'm tired of being told no" energy, and it kind of reminds me of Ace after Whitebeard told him no, he can't go to Wano, but he left to go after Teach without saying anything. So does this mean Kizaru gets clapped? I don't know. I guess we gotta stay tuned. Akainu, as always, is exceeding my expectations as a fleet admiral, as he was shown to be a hothead, but he manages to stay cool and calm in these situations, which is pretty cool to see a character have this somewhat development in a very subtle way. But we got to talk about him as a combatant. I know he's doing what needs to be done, but Oda, get that man from behind the desk, okay?
For real, bro. Like, Akainu is for the smoke, bro. We want to see him in action, bro. Like, get what? It's been how long? Like, please, bro. And we didn't even get to see the fight between him and Aokiji. Please.
Even Kizaru is tired of sitting still, and when will we have the magma brat erupt? I've been waiting for it. Also, let's give Kizaru his props. He is always ready and willing in any situation. So far from what we've seen, he was ready to go to Wano, and now he's pulling up on Egghead. He does not care, unless it's from Red. Moving on.
If he comes here, hold on, I don't know what he said about Film Red. Don't do that, Brago. Don't do that. But it's funny because he compared this arc to Sabaody. Like, it started with Punk Hazard and then Sabaody, and he was a part of that chapter too. And I really feel like I think he's gonna play a big role. That's all I'm gonna say.
And Akainu is very aware of the problem if Vegapunk goes with Luffy, as it adds to the incredible list of Luffy's allies, and it deals a direct blow to the world government. Now, the world government, they were pretty much done with Vegapunk, but I wonder if Akainu is aware of what happened in Lelouchia. I doubt it, because they don't tell him anything anyway. We know that they don't care about the Marines and their opinions, but I think that's part of the problem. These guys are so disconnected at times that they end up stepping on each other's toes or somewhat flat out sabotaging each other. I mentioned how detritus the world government has been so far, and this is another opportunity just to say that again. They also did mention that the plan was for Kizaru to go to Egghead anyway, so this means before the Straw Hats were even known to be there, he was gonna go. But why would Kizaru go? Was he somewhat to take charge of that facility? These are questions I need answers to. Now, who will Kizaru fight? For that, you gotta wait towards the end. I laugh at how carefree Luffy is, as it is his personality, and Gear 5 only amplifies it, but he does not care about the politics of everything. Or anything, and for today, Rob Lucci didn't either. We made some comparisons between Who's Who and Rob Lucci before, as Oda did, but it's clear Lucci is on a different level, as he is a fully awakened Zoan, and the form is beautiful. There are a few things to touch on. First off, the mention that Zoan awakenings can overwhelm a user's mind. Shaka is somewhat saying that this is usually what happens, but Rob Lucci's overcoming that or leaning into it, which could explain Wano and the few awakenings we saw. Granted, okay, not sure if we even saw any awakenings, but other than Luffy's and Kaido's, I suppose, but it wasn't clear. Okay, Rob Lucci's form reminds me of not only Who's, but Yamato's as well. The sash he has, I mean, we're gonna talk about that. Does he know? Will Oda explain this phenomenon? Awakening Zoan video on the way. I promise, I'm way ahead of you. As much as Rob Lucci versus Luffy was the focus of discussion and ire, I guess, as fans can't seem to agree on what is appropriate for a newly minted.
It seems like the way they explained it too in this chapter about awakening Zoan types, it almost feels like a Sulong mink form or some shit, because he said usually they lose control, like an awakened Zoan usually lose control. They actually said some shit like that in this chapter, which I find kind of interesting. Lean said, if one Straw Hat was to die upcoming arcs, who do you think it's gonna be? I mean, I think it would be Jinbei, I'm not gonna lie. if I had like the helmsman, like I get what he does, but it almost seems like a made up shit. And he's the newest one, but like I think Jinbei would be the guy to have killed. As much as I love Jinbei and I think he's a top 5 Straw Hat, it would just make sense, And he's devoted to see Luffy get there. And I'm sure he entrusts Luffy to get the job done. But I think his devotion to Luffy and the Straw Hats is similar to Pedro's devotion. So he'd give his life for the cause if he had to. So that's why I feel like Jinbei would do that. Like his dream is to see Luffy there, and that's it. Oh yeah, everybody say Usopp is trolling. I don't think it's ever gonna be Usopp. Usopp's not gonna die.
Did Yonko of the Seas? I personally don't think strength was that important in this scenario, for reasons. Even though I think it was necessary to show the growth of a fan favorite, but based on how upset people are with the outcome, I'd rather say a prominent antagonist that has gone through the ringer himself. The entire purpose of this was literally showing Gear 5, to give a hint or theory relating to devil fruits. If I knew any better, one would think Vegapunk was waiting for this exact scenario. I would be inclined to believe if the situation didn't present itself, Vegapunk would probably straight up ask Luffy, hey, show me your Gear 5 form. Show me the white one. That sounds crazy. Nika is described as a white one.
Show me the white one. That sounds crazy.
Vegapunk's theory is intriguing at worst, unbelievable at best. Let me explain. Vegapunk is saying that the wills and dreams of individuals who believed somewhat manifested these outrageous powers and that led to these incredible abilities. We know in the past that the people prayed to the sun god, so even in this extreme scenario, it shows what is possible in this amazing world. The Nika specifically has been wiped from this book, but what is this database Vegapunk is pulling from? When things go awry, as they already are, and Kizaru being underway there, will Frankie download this database? Will we ever see the descriptions given to some of these devil fruits? The paths of evolution, the process of evolution, they're all exciting. And it's even led to some theories of Einstein, which we'll nerd out about another time. But the dialogue around Rob Lucci versus Luffy was more interesting than the fight, even though the iconic clashes were a sight to behold. But Vegapunk talking about dreams and wills and manifestation is saying or showing that Nika is the peak embodiment of this idealistic theory of evolutionary paths. The fact that it is viewed as a god as well only adds to this theory and intrigue, so I can't wait for a more detailed explanation. Now, Oda did a great job of presenting it as a theory, even from the authority on devil fruits. Much more to come though, I am sure of it. Sentomaru coming in on his day off is better than me, even though he's dressed like an auntie. Either way, I love seeing S-Hawk, S-Snake, and S-Shark.
Just like an auntie.
I could not wait for Jinbei's reaction, but I would love more on that too, because what was the process? Vegapunk was privy to these situations, and so the answers are going to come. But how did we come about this? What did you use to clone them? How long did it take? I love the situation Sentomaru is in, though, as he's presented as very noble and a loyal person. Upon introduction, and even now, as a newly appointed Marine, as he became a Marine officially over the time skip, it's obvious that he would choose to be loyal to the man that saved him. W guilt trip by Vegapunk, though. That's A1. The Seraphim continue to be one of the more interesting powers in the story, and of course, the control of them was in question. Who has the most control and what was the agreement? It is revealed in this chapter, and in exchange for resources, the hierarchy had the Gorosei at the top, as well as the authority chip for others to utilize in time of need. Very smart. However, they cannot be controlled via transponder snail. Sentomaru being there makes things all the more interesting for sure, because he is someone that is directly tied to that. But Rob Lucci, taking him out and retaking control of the Seraphim was big-brained, and that makes the situation somewhat dire for the Straw Hats. Kizaru is underway, the Seraphim have turned against them, and we also have Rob Lucci fully awakened and ready to strike. Luffy can definitely handle Rob Lucci and then some, but what of S-Hawk and the others? Zoro is needed ASAP, but ASAP somewhat at the entrance of Egghead.
Yeah, like where is the rest of the Straw Hats, bro? Save me.
Will possibly lead to him being the first to, well, engage with Kizaru. Remember I said I'd mention it at the end? Here's the end. The Sabaody vibes are strong with this one, but I see things going a bit differently. Could Zoro cut him the same way Rayleigh did when he tried to ignore him? But at the end, give me your top bets to fight against Kizaru, because I've seen theories about all the monster trio, but which one makes the most sense? Also, is anyone else worried about Sanji fighting a female cyborg? I have a video on the screen here if you guys want to check out when I talked about Frankie probably fighting against Kizaru and the use of the photon gloves and the potential. So click it right here if you're interested.
All right.